Lamites. And the Alter Rebbe says, in these 4 in Yonim, Deim Tzmeach, Chaim Medaber, Deimim is Asiyah, Tzmeach is Dibur, Chaim Medaber, Tumad Regis and Kavoni. He now connects it to Malachim and Neshamas. Malachim are Chai, and Neshamas are other. Malachim don't serve Hashem with Seichel. The Rebbe writes in the footnotes, there are Malachim from Elam Abriya, but they're exceptional. Most Malachim are in Elam Yitzir and serve Hashem with Midas. So the Rebbe is going to say that these 2 madregas of Kavana Chayim Medaber are Malachim and people. It says the Rebbe Perek Lametes Umepnei Ze Nikram Gamkin Nikram Malachim B'Shem Chayis U'Behemis. We find in Tanakh and in Chazal that Malachim are called wild animals and domestic animals. Kedeksiv the Psukim say Upnei Ari Elayamin V'Geimeh, the face of a lion is to the right. Upnei Sheir Me'asmel V'Geimeh, the face of the ox to the left, and so forth. Animals have no free will. Now, hey, is this that Malachim from Elam Abriya, which are Sichli is Dik, maybe they have free will. But this is talking about Malachim from Elam Yitzira, and Beklolos, most Malachim are from Elam Yitzira. As you'll see in the Hagor, Malachim, the Elam HaMalachim is Yitzira. Elam HaNeshamas is Briya. So they're not Mo B'chiras. But Einam Bali B'chira. They have no free will. In other words, they're not Baal Kol HaPalim Kulam, like I told you this morning. They don't have a full panorama of emotions. They have Baal Pal Echad, the Shnei Palim. They have 1 or 2 character traits, just like an animal. V'yirasam v'yavasam. And their fear and their love, Hitivis Lahem, is natural to them. You understand? They have a certain fixed way. But I mem the Pashas Pinchas, like for example, a Malach who's from the Machan of Mechol cannot have Yira, only Ava. He's fixed in his Teva. And that's the madrega of Chaya, not Madab. And therefore, the level of tzaddikim, the house, the dwelling place of the souls of tzaddikim is Ne'el Mabriya, which is called Gan Eden Elyon. The home of the malachim is in Yitzira. Hagor, that's malachim in general. There are higher malachim that are Be'elam Mabriya. And by them, who have the capacity to serve Hashem, madrega called Medaber, which is Yira and Ava based on their Seichel, where they're not just having a nature, but they're creating new midas using their mind. There's 2 types of Chayis, Tiviyim, which is Yitzira, and Sichlim, which is Brik, and you should know that the Rebbe has a ha'ara in the Maimer, Kfeid Malchus Chatav Reish, Tav Shin Yud Beis, the first Rosh Hashanah Maimer, where the Rebbe asks a kasha. The Alter Rebbe says in a Maimer that Malachim have no free will, and he brings from the Gemara the Afkul and Matat Beis HaMedrash is that they punished Matat, they gave him klep. There's a simon that he does have free will, and the Rebbe finishes with Tzarech. I believe that here you have a teretz. I think the Rebbe writes in his Rishimis, but when I was preparing it and I looked, I didn't find it. That most malachim of Yitzira, which is typical malachim, don't have bechira. But the malachim that he speaks about, Nisa Gof, Me'el Mabriya, on a certain madrege, they even bechira, and maybe this is the answer to that question. That Afkul Matat goes to malachim Me'el Mabriya. And what Alter Rebbe says in the Maimer that malachim don't have free will is typical malachim. What he calls here malachim, stam malachim. But I want to look again in the Rebbe's Rishimis. Says Rebbe v'ahevdol b'neiim hu. The difference is this. The world of Yitzira. It's a world of the Eibishter's Midas Lavadan only, and so forth. It's not a world of Meichen. So even the Midas are tiviistic. You're expressing love, it's your nature. It's not a fine-tuned and a especially sensitized ahava based on your avodah. But the Gunna Beit Chaim says in Kabbalah, this is Zeir in Kabbalah, the shit sphere in Mekan Nabite, the 6 spheres live in Yitzira. Mekan is from the word kan sipir, a nest. And consequently, this is what malachim are doing constantly. Day and night, they never are quiet, they never rest. To stand, to stand in awe and fear. This means the cap of Gabriel, which is on the left side. And on the other hand, they have ahava because of the right side, and each one is fixed in their midah. That's the pshat teva. You should know what I told you this morning is based more on this than what's written at the end of Lamed Ches. What I explained to you this whole thing about a teva, and underneath the teva you have kol hapalim kulam. It's really this shir that this is malachim. Each malach is fixed in a nature, as opposed to the world of bria. Says the Rebbe, we have the wisdom, understanding, and knowledge of Ein Sof. Shei Makar HaMidas, which is the source of the Midas, Ve'aim, V'sheidish Lahen, and a mother and a root for the Midas. And therefore, not only does the Meichad reveal the Midas and control the Midas, they invent Midas. It's a different thing. It's not just expressing my personality, it's creating a new one based on my Seichel, which is the real union of godless that we were learning in Samach Hey. It says in Zayah, Bitlat Sfiran B'Kursaya. Being a law lives in the three Sfiran of Kursaya. Kursaya means Kisei HaKovid. Kursaya means Kisei. And Elam Abriya is Elam HaKisei. Shu Elam Abriya. That's why it's the home of the souls of Tzadikim, who are Eid, Yadesham B'Dechilu Lechim, who serving Hashem with Yiranava, but Hanim Shoches Men Abina V'Daz V'Gidol Sein Sei Baruch, which comes from understanding and knowledge and the greatness of the Eibishter. The difference is not that the neshamas of Bria are me'eir midas through seichel, and the neshamas of Yetzirah are me'eir midas through without seichel. No. Both of them are me'eir midas through seichel. But the neshamas of Yetzirah are me'eir midas through seichel, but the seichel is simply revealing the teva. Mashenke and El Mabriya, the seichel is creating midas that are based on the seichel and breaking the teva of the person. It's a real madrega of godless. Says the Rebbe, that this love in El Mabriya, as opposed to El Yetzirah, Nikar Usa the Liba, is called the will of the heart, canals we had before, and that has a footnote like 4 or 5 different pshatim in Usa the Liba. Usa the Liba, Nas Lavush, and El Mabriya, and this Ahav on Yira becomes the garment for the Neshama in El Mabriya, Shuganeid Na'elyin, Kedila Kaman. We're going to discuss later. Later, I think, means in Perek Mem. The point is, a neshama who serves Hashem with Maise goes up to Asiyah Ruchnis. A neshama who serves Hashem with Midas Tiv goes up to Yitzira Ruchnis. A neshama who serves Hashem with Midas Sichlim goes up to Elam Abriya. And the Av of a Yira becomes the Levush, it becomes the garment of the neshama to lift the person up to Elam Abriya. Now, this is the end of an inyan. What we just had was the Rebbe introduced us to the idea of Mitzvah B'lein Kavana, V'guf B'lein Neshama Kavana. And he divided up into day Mitzvah Mechai Medaber. Beginning with Ach, the Rebbe, it's continuation on the one hand, but he's going to introduce us now to a whole new idea. And that is the concept of Parcha L'Yela. That whenever we do Teiro Mitzvahs, they ascend, they rise upward. And basically, every world has a Chitanius and a Pnimius. There's Eilam HaBriya and Briya, Eilam HaYetzir and Yetzirah. The Pnimius of the world is the Beis HaMikdash. When we do mitzvahs without kavanah, it remains in the oilam. When we do mitzvahs with kavanah, they go into the Beis HaMikdash. But depending on the kavanah, they go into a different Beis HaMikdash. If our kavanah is tamim b'maisav, tmimus and kabbalah seil, it goes into the Beis HaMikdash of Asiyah. If our kavanah is midas tivim, it goes into the Beis HaMikdash of Yetzirah. If our kavanah is midas sichlim, it goes into the Beis HaMikdash of Briya, which is Esesfiras Kedesh Kedoshim. If our kavanah is dal madrega of Merkava, it goes into the Beis HaMikdash of Tzilis. And this begins over here, Ach. So I figured we should do this now, and the Ach Kemeshem Mamshach Zayin Anandam Mo.